maybe do what they call it, doom scrolling. You know, when they say that you just like sit on Instagram and you just like that is your you time at the end of the day when it's like time and everything is quiet and no one's calling you and the kids are asleep and you finally had a shower and you sat down.
Of course, in coaching women, that's a lot of what I do as well. Like, are you really living or are you just existing? Which is what one of my taglines says.
Or even maybe looking on the outside of who you are and to see like, but why would I be afraid to speak in front of people? Why would I be afraid to pursue this particular path or career? Like, what is it that...
For me, if you have an idea that you are very, very passionate about, I think that God has placed that idea in your heart for a reason. And it would be remiss of you to not chase it.
But you talking to yourself in the mirror, I find that it actually works. Like you telling yourself what you need to hear.
It works. But I'll tell you this. It works as much as you believe it.
Right. Dr. Lesley, welcome to the Growth and Wellness podcast. So glad to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm really, really excited to be here with you and to discuss what I do in terms of wellness and growth. It's really, really exciting for me.
Yes. So, as you know, the podcast is really for women, 35 plus, and I'm also on a journey of wellness and health. And so I'm really excited to what you could bring to the conversation and just help us ladies out. Let's just like strive for a happy and healthy life, especially with the time that we have left. So let me just read a little bit about you for our guest. So Dr. Lesley Reece is a Barbadian physician turned life coach, content creator, writer, and speaker. A fervent advocate of women's empowerment and mental health, she uses innovative channels through her company, Life by Lesley Media Corp, to encourage and educate other women about the importance of recognizing their self-worth while fostering physical and mental well-being. Love that. Dr. Lesley's philosophical beliefs focus on the importance of navigating a life well lived, as well as a general view that we should all strive to ensure that we are fully living and not merely existing. Big hearts for that. Her vision is to provide a safe and empowering space for millennial women from all walks of life who seek to achieve their full aligned potential, whatever that may look like for them. And you can also get a chance to learn more about Dr. Lesley on Instagram at Life by Lesley Reece or by visiting her website, www.lesleyreece.com. So that was a nice, succinct bio, and I love, I love your mission and your beliefs. So we're gonna get straight into it. So, Dr. Reece, can you start by sharing a little bit about your journey from becoming a palliative care physician to also embracing the role of an empowerment coach?
Okay, sure. So some may say that the two have nothing to do with each other, but for me, they actually do. As far as palliative care, for those of you who are not familiar, palliative care is the care of people who are suffering from any life-limiting illnesses. And a synonym for it is supportive care, also end-of-life care. So it is something that can be quite emotionally draining. I've suffered from burnout myself as a result of palliative care. And as a result of that, I realized, there's so many other women out there who are having the same experience. They may not necessarily be physicians, but in whatever area of life, they have to show up constantly, function, pour into other people, and not necessarily have others pour into them, or they're not pouring back into themselves. There definitely is a need for someone or a whole bunch of us to guide them to, how can I pour back into myself guilt-free, because
Right.
so many women feel guilt about resting or having to take a step back, or they put everybody else before themselves. So that certainly was why my mission is what it is,
Mm,
to get women to recognize that, yes, you can do all of the things, but there's a way to do it so that you do not end up with burnout or making yourself sick otherwise.
yeah, yeah, that's so important because I think as we grow older and we form relationships, some of us we get married. I mean, whether you get married or not, you have a significant other. Some of us have kids. So you end up giving, 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 and then by the end of the day, there's like literally nothing left.
Nothing left.
So that's really important. And then like trying to figure out how to get that done
Hmm.
within relatively 8 to 10 hours
Exactly.
is a big challenge for sure.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm happy about well, I guess your mission to help women and help us kind of just find time for ourselves. Because yeah, if you don't have anything left to pour back into people, well, you know,
You can't pour from an empty cup.
no,
You know, we see it so often on social media. There's nobody who has never heard that quote or seen a meme
it's true.
stating it.
It's true.
But so many of us, I find, don't internalize it enough. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it actually is true. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
No, no. And then I think too, yeah, like you said, the guilt is there for sure about you just, I don't know, probably just watching a series or maybe do what they call it, doom scrolling. When they say that you
Yes,
just like sit on Instagram and you just like
yes,
that is your you time at the end of the day when it's like night time and everything is quiet and no one's calling you and the kids are asleep and you finally had a shower and you sat down and you're like, you know what? And you don't have enough, I guess, mental energy to do anything else but to
exactly.
maybe doom scroll or maybe play like a light casual game on your phone, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then before you know it, it's 1 o'clock and you need to go to sleep and then you get up tired and you have to do it all over again. So we definitely need
Exactly.
help in that
Exactly.
area for sure. Now
Mhm.
you describe your personal evolution as like from a people pleaser to
Mhm.
empowerment coach. Could you share a little bit more about this transformation and the moment you realized that coaching was your calling?
Sure. So when I call myself a people pleaser, it's because I am somebody who struggled from adolescence with
Right.
self-doubt, limiting beliefs, um, much later imposter syndrome, where really and truthfully, I couldn't see my own worth. I couldn't see the value that I could bring to others. And as I said, this started in adolescence. And because of it, I've been in a series of, I would say, abusive relationships, whether that is emotional abuse. I've also been in a physical abusive relationship.
Oh no.
And it's not that I blame myself, but at some point you have to take, an introspective look. There's a common denominator here, and that common denominator is me.
Right.
So, what is it about me that I allow myself to get into these situations? And by taking that look, and obviously by doing self work and working with coaches and therapists, you realize that the issue is my self worth, and I needed to do something about that. In 2017, so I went to an all girls primary school.
Okay.
And one of the things that I realized is, as I told you, my self doubt stemmed from way back. It didn't start in adulthood. And the thought that I had was, maybe it's important for me to get young ladies right when they are, going through puberty, starting to discover themselves, so that we lay the foundation of how important your self worth is and how to create that, build that, right? Because it may not be something that necessarily comes naturally, especially depending on the type of environment you lived in, what your influences were as you grew up. So I actually created a mentorship program at my old primary school,
Nice.
and that went so, so, so well. It stopped because COVID
Oh, geez. COVID
decided
stop
to
a lot of
show up.
things. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, but it definitely was something that I saw great change in those girls. There were 10 to 11-year-olds, and literally at the start of the program, it would run for about 5 to 6 weeks. And at the start of the program, there were girls in there who you can look at them and see that they, just doubt themselves. And then by the end of the program, like so much brighter, so much more willing to speak out and so on. So even at that point, I didn't think that I was going to be a coach. I did want to mentor others and speak, be a motivational speaker. And I thought that it would be important for me to train in coaching to
Mm,
inform my speaking and my writing. And while doing my coaching training, I recognize two things. Number one, this is something you do every day. Let's see, whether it's for your friends, whether it's for your female patients who confide stuff in you, or whether it's with the program that you just created. And then the second thing that I realized is that this is something that you're actually good at and that you need to do. So that is what caused me to start actually coaching, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I can say every single woman who has worked with me and put in the work, because coaching is not a magic pill, right? The coach doesn't do the work for you.
right.
The coach guides you and you do the work. Every single woman that I've worked with who has done the work has seen remarkable changes in various aspects of her life. And I'm so, so grateful to be a part of that.
Mm. There are a couple of things that you mentioned there. Um, I feel really blessed to be in this generation where we could talk about things like childhood trauma and how it affects how we are as adults. And then, like, there are avenues out there for people to help people kind of overcome the trauma. Because you don't,
Mhm.
I guess some of us don't even realize that the way how
Most
we
of us.
are stemmed from how we were raised, um and it takes a lot of courage to kind of speak out about that, and it takes a lot of courage to want to do like a deep dive into your past and then like to try to change it. And it's a continuous thing as well, right?
Hmm.
Because you tend to want to go back to how your coping mechanisms for certain things, right?
Exactly.
So it's a continual kind of um, work that you gotta do
Mhm.
to just change or condition yourself to be the best you. Because it's not really to change you to be different in a negative way, but really is about trying to break those limiting beliefs and like be the best you.
Yep.
Um, we do another thing too is that we kind of create all these kind of fears in our head that no one else believes or sees or anything, and we use that to kind of hold us back
Yeah.
from like just like fully embracing what we could do.
And
um
they're all fears that have no basis. Like if you actually sat and pick apart the fear that you're having,
right.
there's no basis for it. There's no truth in
None.
it.
Just attack it, be like, no, you are not true, I am enough,
Hmm.
I could do this. But yeah, that does take some work. So I'm happy that you are in that field of helping. That must be a little difficult, but also rewarding because if you sit down and you try to think about it um, as maybe as your client, um, sometimes you don't know, right? You really got to do like a real deep dive.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's good that you help possibly to pull that out of people because it
Yeah.
it, it really does take like this kind of self awareness kind of act, or even maybe looking on the outside of who you are and
Mm-hmm.
to see like, but why would I be afraid to speak in front of people? Why would I be afraid to pursue this particular path or career?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it that is really holding me back? What am I telling myself um, that isn't healthy and is negative from moving forward in a particular way? So yes. Now, in your practice, just really quickly, I want to go back to what you do every day, and kind of like what's a juxtapose to
Mm-hmm.
your coaching. So in your practice, you deal with very different aspects of life. One focus on the end of life care, and the other on maximizing personal growth and fulfillment. So
Mm-hmm.
how do these roles influence each other, and what synergies have you discovered between palliative care and life coaching?
Very interestingly, I recently met a young lady, and we were talking about the fact that, yes, I'm a palliative physician as well as a life coach. And she said, there actually is some overlap there because if as women we continually neglect ourselves, play small, continue to doubt ourselves and don't show up properly for ourselves in this world, then we become so resentful and frustrated that it's almost like you're killing your own light. So that's like end of life in terms of you aren't truly living. And it was a really interesting perspective for me. It's not a perspective that I can honestly say that I've ever thought of, but it made so much sense to me. Um, yes, in palliative care, I encourage patients, and I always say in palliative care, it's not just the patient who's your patient, but also the family. Everybody's so involved, and everybody needs support because of the nature of what is going on. But I always say to patients and their relatives, right now it's about quality of life. So as long as you can, just do the things that make you happy, that fill you up. And I know because of where you may be in your illness, that may look different on each day. You wake up today, it may look completely different from how it looked yesterday. But that doesn't mean that there's not something that you can find joy in, right? That doesn't mean that there's not something that you can do that will lift you up even just a little bit. Whether that is, let's say that the patient is really, really into football and
Mm-hmm.
you just sit and binge watch football matches all day, just to take your mind away from what is actually going on with you. And of course, in coaching women, that's a lot of what I do as well. Like, are you really living? Or are you just existing? Which is what one of my taglines says. Are you just going through the motions? Like you mentioned it earlier, you do all this, you come home and you really need to try to spend some time pouring into yourself because the next day you're doing it all over again. But there's so many women who day after day is just going through the motions, just doing the same thing over and over and relegating the events where we pour into ourselves as things that should happen on birthdays or for celebrations or on vacation when you live every single day. So every day you should make sure that there's some part of that day that makes you truly joyful, regardless of how stressful the day was. If I had a really, really stressful day, I come home and I'm going to turn on one of my, what I like to call guilty pleasures, which is a reality TV show.
Oh my
I can
gosh.
just watch guilt free. I don't have to think about anything. I just sit and watch these people going on at each other. And by the end of it, I feel I've taken my mind away from whatever was stressing me out and like I've relaxed. And for me, that is a form of self care. And so many people overthink it. that they don't realize that there's so many opportunities in each and every day for you to just pour into yourself. If that is sitting by a window watching people while you drink a cup of tea or coffee, if that is disappearing for the 15 minutes that you are going to 15 to 30 minutes that you're going to eat your lunch rather than sitting in front of your computer trying to work, just do something that at the end of it you will feel like, "Huh, I really enjoyed that."
Yes. Yes. Oh, bars. Complete bars, Dr. Lesley. Um, it's so true. And I think uh, we also say, I'll do that later. Like there's
Hmm.
time for that,
Hmm.
I'll do
And
that girl straight later.
you know what our grandmothers say, Marvelas, you got tomorrow, but no.
Yes.
She
you,
said there's no
you got
guarantees,
tomorrow.
no.
It's true. It's true. You said tomorrow you got tomorrow, but no, it's true that they say that. Oh my gosh. But I do think I agree with you that we might overthink what that might look like. You might think that it has to be like this kind of grand thing, like we gotta do a spa, whatever, when it could just be like you say. And I was cracking up when you said reality TV shows because that is my vice as well.
Cute, cute. Like, don't judge.
Name it. I've probably watched it, and I get really into it as well. I get really into it. It's like I know it's scripted, but you have to.
Just the important thing that I think for the people who hate reality shows is that you just need to accept it for what it is. Okay? We all know that it's scripted.
you know, we know that it's mindless TV. We know this. We know this. We know it's scripted. We know it's mindless. We know there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Exactly.
Um, but I would probably watch it and I'll be like, you know what? If they had done this way, I think that's the creative in me talking. Like I want to talk to the producers, like, listen, don't do it like this way. Do it like this. I think that
Exactly.
will make it a little bit more entertaining. But yes, that's also my voice. So okay, so this is a big one now. So, as an empowerment coach, right, what
Mhm.
specific challenges do you see women over 35 facing? And then the follow up is what key strategies do you recommend for overcoming these challenges?
Sure. So the big overarching challenge that I see that is made up of other little challenges is we're playing too small. Right? And by that, I mean we are allowing the self doubt to creep in. We're allowing the limiting beliefs to control what we do. We're allowing the imposter syndrome to prevent us from going after what we really want or showing up when we're called to do something, right? Um, and that is over and over and over and over again. I have to say that I didn't start out this way. Originally, my target audience was, millennial women. But because of the clients that had found their way to me, most of my clients, or all of my clients actually, have been 35 years and older and entrepreneurs. So
Mm,
now I have niched down myself to that's who I'm working with, 35-year-old female entrepreneurs. And for all of them, the issue was I don't feel like I am charging enough, but I'm afraid to raise my prices because I'm afraid that my clients are going to leave and go to somebody else. I am struggling with people constantly violating my boundaries. So I'm having issues setting my boundaries and enforcing them. And because of it, I'm feeling tired, burnt out. People don't appreciate me. I am bending over backwards to work so hard for this person or these clients just to make them happy. And at the end of the day, there's no thanks coming from it.
yeah.
Or I, the woman who really has a great idea, they want to, let's say, expand their business or going to another area as an additional, and they're so afraid of failing because they've told themselves all the negative outcomes that could result. And not realizing that, this, for me, if you have an idea that you are very, very passionate about, I think that God has placed that idea in your heart for a reason. And it would be remiss of you to not chase it. Don't allow the noise in your head to tell you that you can't do it, right? One of the things I always say, if He's called you to it, He's going to equip you for it. So,
I
and
agree.
there's so many examples of that in the Bible. So, just like this, just the self-doubt, limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, woman after woman after woman, even in terms of, let's go away from their businesses to how they show up in relationships or dating, right? I've had quite a few who were single and looking for that special person. Now, I'm not a dating coach by any means, but I certainly could tell you that if you constantly doubt yourself, it's going to show up in the way that you interact with that person that you're interested in. If you constantly think that you aren't good enough, why would somebody want to be in a relationship with me? He can't be really interested in me. Why would they want to pursue something with you? Like, you're already shooting yourself in the foot. You're already creating all this negative energy around you, and truthfully, nobody wants to be around that. So for me, it is getting them to first recognize the ways that they are doubting themselves. Secondly, actually, this is the first step, which is my self discovery, which is figuring out what your beliefs are and where they came from. Then is the self doubt. So how are we gonna work through the self doubt once you've recognized it? And it's all about reframing your thoughts and reframing your beliefs. And that's not something that will happen overnight. It takes practice. It's a bad habit that has to be broken. And with any habit, it requires serious conscious effort. Habits are subconscious, but to break them, there needs to be a conscious effort. And I'm happy to say that, again, once the work is done, once the effort is made, so many of these women see the changes that they've been seeking, not just themselves seeing it, but I've had clients come to me after 2 weeks of working with me and saying, you know, one of my friends said to me that they noticed something different about me, but they're not quite sure what it is. My work is done.
Drop mic.
Exactly. But while that's nice, my favorite thing is when they recognize the change in themselves. And very often they would come and they would say, and they would paint a scenario and tell me how they dealt with it. And the phrase that always follows it, let's say it was Anne. Anne of 5 weeks ago would not have done that. My response would have been so different. I'm so proud of you because you're actually doing the work. You're seeing the change. And in seeing the change, you see that, there is a different way to live. You don't have to continue to play small and neglect yourself and subject yourself to all this overwhelm and frustration and resentment. Like, there is a different path for you. And I'm so glad that you're taking it.
Yeah. 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 Those, yeah. Hmm. I guess it's really it's really a step by step kind of process, like you said. Yeah, and the bad habits, yes, and breaking them and just trying not to go back to them is just a
Mm-hmm.
constant. Um, like you just have to consciously remind yourself. I know some people practice what's it now? When they talk in the mirror, what do we call it? When
Oh,
you
like affirmations?
affirmations. So yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
you tell yourself, I could do this. I am worthy. And you know what? It kind of sounds kind of silly to kind of say it, but you talking to yourself in the mirror. But I
Mm-hmm.
find that it actually works. Like
It works.
you telling yourself what you need to hear.
It works. But I'll tell you this. It works as much as you believe it.
Right.
Okay? Because if you stand in the mirror every day and say, I am worthy, but you don't even start to try to convince yourself that you are worthy, right? You're just saying it and it's empty words. You don't think that you are worthy. No matter how many times you say it, you're not gonna start to believe it. Like, even just a little bit of you has to believe that you are worthy for that affirmation to really take root in you, right? So let's think of it as like a seed. So the affirmation is the seed. You plant the seed in the ground, but you don't water it. You don't give it sunlight, right? And in this case, the water and the sunlight is you actually believing, even just a little bit, as I said, or consciously trying to get yourself to believe that, yes, I truly believe this about myself. You repeat that however many times you want, right? And
Yeah.
it's not going to take root. Literally, the seed is not going to take root. So it's affirmations are great, but it can't just be sticking post-its on your mirror and hoping for the best.
You actually got
Like,
to put some action into it, ladies. You actually got to,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. Even if it's something small, it's something that you
Correct.
never did before. Yeah, put some actions into it. So,
Mhm.
yes. Um, on a side note, are kind of related. I was watching Miss Rachel with my son, and after the episode finished, Miss Arnold, in between the episode, um, I can't remember what she was doing, but she literally looked at the TV and she was like, "You can do hard things, right?" And I was like, "Yes, Miss Rachel, that's bars. I could do hard things." I mean, she was talking to the little ones, of course, but I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Yes, you can do hard. You can do it. You can do hard things,
Mhm.
right?" So that's been my mantra.
Yes.
I can do hard things. She wasn't taught to me, or maybe she was.
Or maybe she would.
You can do hard things. So,
Yes. I love that. And I love that. That's what we're feeding to the kids, as young as they are. You can do
yes,
hard things.
yes, yeah. We definitely came from that generation where they said children should be seen but not heard,
But not her.
kind of
Hmm.
thing. That you can't have an opinion, you can't have um preferences about certain things. You have to do it. You have to do it this way because
Hmm.
you know. So it's like kind of relearning know how to be yourself
Yep.
as an adult because now you're on your own. You don't have anybody to tell you what to do and how to do it.
Hmm.
But the child in us, in the adult, still kind of panders to that kind of mentality when it comes to certain things. Like like you gotta make a big decision and you want to run it by other people, kind of thing, and people need to agree with every little thing, and if you barely get one negative kind of comment,
And
the whole thing cat spraddled. So
yeah, you're so right.
so it is breaking that kind of generational kind of upbringing and is embracing like who you truly are.
Hmm.
So, oh yeah, there's a lot of challenges that we face and that we need to overcome. And I realize that is just a common thread. Like and like you said, especially entrepreneurs, you gotta tell me. You gotta tell me.
You get it.
I get it. I get it. I get all the, before you hit publish on a post, you read it over a million times,
A
and then you
million
start
times.
thinking, are they gonna think, oh, why did she post this? Like that doesn't make any sense. And like, just post the thing. Just
Hmm. Yeah, because the people who it will resonate, who it's supposed to resonate with, it will resonate with. Right?
exactly,
So
exactly.
post it.
Yes, and if they find a grammatical or error in it, you could hit the edit button and you could change it because people make
Exactly.
mistakes,
Correct.
and you're
I
human.
actually saw there's this coach. She is a business coach. I saw one of her Instagram ads, and one of the slides, it was a carousel, one of the slides had a very obvious typographical error. And in her caption, she said, and yes, I saw the error. I decided to leave it because none of us are perfect. And I was like, when I love this woman, based on that alone, girl, I would want to work with you. I don't need to, but like, let's just be real.
Yes, yes, we are human.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know if you watch. Was it Dave Chappelle who said that? And I think we're all living a human experience. I think that's how he put it.
Hmm.
Um, and it just kind of brings you back down to like, yeah, it's normal. All these things are normal.
Yes.
All these things that you're going through, you're not alone. And there are things and people out there like you, Dr. Leslie, who could help you just like work through certain things that are holding you back. So there's nothing to be ashamed about. Um, and in fact, it's kind of self love and self care when you take steps into just working on these things.
Who's spitting bars now?
Oh, thank you. No, okay. Um, I'm not sure if you mentioned this already, but from your perspective as a palliative care physician, now what advice would you give to women in this age group about living life to the fullest? Perhaps focusing on preventative health or mental well-being. What advice? Living life to the fullest. What
Hmm.
would you say?
Well, for sure, from a strictly health perspective, I do highly recommend, stay on top of all your checks. Don't be afraid of the outcome. Because what I always say to patients, and this was when I was doing family medicine, what I always would say to patients is it's one thing to be afraid of the outcome, but even if we check early and the outcome is a negative one, it's early, so we can do something about it. If you bury your head in the sand like an ostrich and pretend like nothing's happening and I feel okay, then when we do find something, because it's gone so bad, you just cannot ignore it, then, all the options that you would have had earlier are no longer available to you, right? Um, and that goes for any illness. I know with palliative care, people tend to think that it's related to cancer only, but it's actually for any illness that can potentially take your life. But even for anything, any illness, don't neglect to have your blood pressure taken because everybody in your family have high blood pressure and you don't want to know if you have high blood pressure because they have to take tablets forever and you don't want to have to take tablets forever. Like the psychology goes so deep. But at the end of the day, the best gift that you can give to yourself is your health. And in making that point, I also want to draw particular attention to mental health and mental well being. You know, just don't ignore the fact that, you haven't been quite feeling yourself and you're not sure why. Like, see somebody about that. See your GP. Tell them how you've been feeling. They may be able to refer you to somebody, whether that is a psychologist, therapist, or if they think that you actually need the services of a psychiatrist. And there really is no shame in seeing any one of those professionals. I fervently believe that really and truly every adult should be seeing a therapist because life is hard. Life be lifing. Adulting is hard. It does not come with a manual. It is all well and good to depend and talk to your friends and so on. But one, there may be things that you may not necessarily be comfortable saying to your friends because usually that's because of a fear of judgment that you may be more comfortable saying to a complete stranger, which is fine. And then the other thing is that you leave these things alone, you don't pay attention to it. And just like with any other illness, it just festers and festers and festers. and then it ends up causing you harm or causing you to unfortunately try to harm yourself or harm others. Like, these are very real things. So it's so important to have an outlet, to have somebody to talk to. As I said, if it's not a friend, somebody that, is paid to listen to you and to guide you and to advise you
And trained, paid and
and
trained.
trained. Exactly. Thank you. And, you may not have to see a therapist every week or even every month, but a check-in quarterly just to make sure that things are going well, to help equip you with tools that you need to get through each day, each week. Adulting is hard. I can say that. Like, why were we in such a hurry to grow up?
I know, right? And this generation has been through so much. I think somebody was saying that the other day. And then COVID just kind of, and I think that was the turning point for me. Well, I think it was a bunch of things. COVID, having my first child. Like, there's like this kind of shift in like my thinking about the rest of my life and what I have left. And then like purpose, like the purpose of life and the purpose of my life
Of your life.
and what I want to do and what I want to achieve. Like, it really made me kind of think, no, I want to get out of the quote unquote rat race. I don't want
Mhm.
to work 9 to 5. And then like rinse and repeat. Not saying that being an entrepreneur, no, entrepreneur is not more difficult in terms of like the
Mhm.
time that you spend building it up, but there is that joy of building something um, that hopefully serves you and serves
Yep.
your soul and gives and brings you joy
Yeah.
more than the 9 to 5. And that's really my wish and dream for everybody, that they find
Hmm.
what their purpose is and they just fulfill it,
Yeah.
so that we can live that quote unquote and hopefully happy life for the time
Hmm.
that we have here.
Yeah. I have so much of my own thoughts in what you just said, because definitely for me, it was, I want to create something that is impactful, um, on a much greater scale than the impact that I think I could have with medicine, right? And I want it to be something that I thoroughly enjoy, something that doesn't take everything from me, right? Because it's one thing, it can't just be about financial reward. Yes, that's great. But I am the type of person where I need to feel rewarded in so many other aspects. Like, I have to feel genuinely satisfied that I have served somebody else in a way that could be life changing for them and so meaningful for them. And the coaching and speaking and writing journey certainly is something that I feel God, as I said earlier, God placed on my heart. I think it is His next purpose for my life, right? And what I think a lot of us don't consider is there's seasons in life, right? Your purpose, the purpose that God has for you, let's say from when you start to work until midlife, may be completely different for the purpose that He has for you from midlife until the end. There may be one purpose that He has for you to throughout your life. There may be multiple. The purposes may be able to overlap, or they may be so different that they don't, right? So I say that to say that it's important to go with the leading of your soul and don't be so concerned about what people are saying, right? Like, they're not important at the end of the day and in the grand scheme of things. What's important is that you are staying true to yourself, your deepest desires, and creating a life that you truly enjoy living.
Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe a question might come up like, oh, that's easy. All is all easy to say. But, what if I do this and I fail? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when that question came, I was like, so what?
There's so much to be taken from a failure in that it can really teach you so much and show you so much. And every failure takes you closer to success because you can look back at why you failed and made the necessary changes, right? There's nobody out there who you would look at and consider to be highly successful who has never failed. And if somebody tells you that they've never failed, they're like,
Yes.
point blank, period. Right? So failure is a part of the process, but instead of seeing it as something to be dreaded, just see it as, okay, this is information that I can use. We have all failed, whether it's a tiny failure or a big failure. We all make mistakes. It's all a process of learning. Some of the people that you can learn the most from out there will tell you that, I'm able to teach you this because of my own mistakes, because of my own failures. So it's important for us to not be too hard on ourselves or to be so afraid of failing that we don't even take the first step.
Exactly. Exactly. And I guess further to, well, I guess, end of life and be speaking
Mm-hmm.
about that, like you don't want to get to your end of life and regret not doing certain things. That's the biggest thing. Um, so yeah, take that step, make that move. If you feel so what, get up. Like you say, you learn from your mistakes. You could pivot, do something else. You could optimize what you've been doing and see where you went wrong, that kind of thing. It's all a part of life really. But we have to get away from the we'll do that later.
We'll do it later. Yeah.
Get away from that and just kind of embrace it now, because when later comes, you can be like, oh, I'm too old, I can't do that,
Yeah.
that kind
Or
of.
or you may not be well enough. Or you may not be in a financial position to do it. Or you may have other responsibilities that were not in the picture from before, right? Like you just don't know. I've had palliative patients who, and let me just preface by saying that I get quite all my patients are not old people, right? I got patients in their 60s, I got patients in their 50s, patients in their 30s. And when you decide to put off, right? That may never come, or you may be too ill to do it, right? So do it now. I've seen like quotes on the internet. So I love to travel. So my algorithm is like so many so many travel posts coming up, right? And you always see take the trip.
Yeah.
You're gonna get the money back. The money's going to come back, right? But you cannot replace the experience. You can't replace those memories. You can't replace how good even just being on that trip will make you feel. Like travel is so good for mental health. Like people don't understand, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a trip to the Maldives. Like you can find some in within your budget. Um, do some research, and you may actually come across some places that you didn't even think were in your budget, but are actually a lot cheaper than you realized. And just take a trip, enjoy yourself. We ain't got tomorrow, but don't.
Yeah. Do all inclusive. That's the best.
Correct. Just go.
You don't gotta think about food. You just go, dress up, go and sit down, and enjoy. That's true.
Mhm.
I don't know if you saw that meme with this elderly couple on, I think it was like a gondola in Italy, and
Mhm.
and they were sleeping,
Mhm.
and then the caption was like, when you wait till you retire to travel,
Oh, there you go. Exactly. Exactly.
they were like knocked out.
You on a cruise ship with a walker.
I mean, yeah, I want to do that too, but yeah, I agree. Dot it in between.
Right. Don't be on the cruise ship with a walker because you didn't travel at all between the age of 30 and 60. Like
It's true. It's true.
I've had patients who put off and then they couldn't. And like, oh,
And they regret it.
I was planning to do all
Oh,
these trips and stuff and I got sick.
no. Yeah. Well, okay. So we went through a lot. Do I have a few more questions before we wrap up? So I wanted to ask. I have to put in a marketing question because that's where I'm at. So as someone who speaks, writes, and coaches, now what marketing strategies have you found most effective in reaching and engaging your target audience? How do you find your people? How do you find your clients? What's the best way?
By posting valuable content on social media, I mainly use Instagram and LinkedIn because especially on LinkedIn, that's where I find more of my target audience, which, as I would have said earlier, 35 plus female entrepreneurs, right? Um, Plus, LinkedIn tends to be more of a serious app. So you're more likely to find people there who are ready to go, right? But in addition to posting valuable content, you also need to be ready and willing to network and to reach out to people and see, just ask them how you can help them, right? If you find as someone with a social media presence, there will always be people who are always commenting, are always liking, or interacting with your content in some way or the other, right? So essentially, let's say you see Jane Doe has liked your comment and has liked your post or has commented on your post. And you know that for the last 10 posts that you've had, 9 or 8 of them, Jane Doe has commented on. That means that she's engaged. She's interested in what you're doing.
Right.
It may be helpful for you to just reach out to her and say, I noticed that you engage with my content. I really appreciate it. Is there anything in particular, what resonates with you most about it? Or why does it resonate so much with you? And you may have come to realize that there is a problem that she has that you can solve. And there you have a client, right? And one who actually feels seen by you because you took the time to reach out to them rather than them having to reach out to you. Okay. So I would say, as far as social media marketing, that is the big thing. And what I want to also say about that is that as business owners, it's so important to realize that that has to be a part of your marketing strategy. It cannot just be about posting, posting, posting. It can't even be, your focus can't be growing your account to 5,000, right? Because you can have 5,000 followers who never really engage with your content or who are not your ideal client, right? So coming off of that, that's where I want to caution about enlisting the help of, let's say, a social media manager and thinking that that's the end all and be all of your marketing, and then getting upset with the social media manager when your sales are increasing. Like, a social media manager is meant to make sure that your social media is running smoothly. They're not meant to reach people in terms of reach out to people and actually speak to them. That's your job, right? Because you are the face of your business. You know best what you can offer, what you can help with, what you can't help with. So even if you have somebody running your posts all the time, you still need to get on that app and engage with the people who are engaging with your content so that you actually convert.
Agreed. Agreed. You know me, I will be your cheerleader behind here. Like, yeah, it's so much more than just posting content. That's a whole nother discussion for another time.
Listen, listen.
But thank you for that because now our listeners know LinkedIn is where to find you and Instagram for posting all that helpful and engaging content. And you know what? It's really good too because on the marketing side of it, you know, you got your funnel, you got like your kind of sales funnel, and so people engage with your content and they come down the funnel until they're ready to make the decision
Yes.
to work with you.
Yes.
So, you know, keep posting that helpful content. Your people will find you for sure, and they will be drawn to this really great spirit that you show on these social media platforms. Like I was drawn to you. That's why I reached out. I
You.
wanted to have a conversation with you just because like you just exude that kind of energy that is
You.
you know, yeah, happy and just bright.
Mhm.
So just wanted you to come and share that with everybody really.
Mhm.
So yeah, everybody who's listening, entrepreneurs, women, yeah, when you post the content, you post helpful content, then the people who need you will find you.
We'll find you.
And
Yes.
like you say, and engage with people. Like I find too that's a thing. Like people would post things. Really, what really gets my goat, really on a side note, is like when you leave a review
Mhm.
and they do crickets.
Crickets. Yeah.
Guys, please, business owners, please, if somebody took the time out to leave a review,
Correct.
thank them. Thank them for the
Correct.
review. You know, welcome them, tell them come again, you know, that kind of thing. Please don't leave them hanging. Oh, anyways, that's a side note.
As you said, a conversation for another day.
So as we wrap up, what is your vision for the future of Life by Lesley coaching? Are there any new initiatives, programs that you're are particularly excited about? Anything new that you want to share?
Sure. So I actually want to, between now and Q2 of 2025, launch a mobile app, which, yes. So what the app will do is to send you daily motivational quotes, little tidbits. The idea is as though you have this little friend in your phone who every morning reminds you of something, right? That you may just need to hear at that moment, right? Um, the tone and stuff will very much be in my voice. So just as I would speak to one of my friends or one of my clients, that's how you will read it, right? Also available on the app will be like some mindfulness exercises. There will be a membership option. So that will give you access to any webinars or masterminds or workshops that I have. And essentially it will be a wellness and lifestyle app. And the purpose is to, deliver nuggets of inspiration and edification to women who need it, right? Especially those who may want to benefit from what I offer, but may not necessarily be able to afford one-on-one coaching with me, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm able to serve as many people as possible,
Yeah,
right?
are not ready to take that step.
And who, all right, or those who are not ready to take that step. And really, eventually, I am going to step away from one-on-one coaching on a larger scale. I will do a small number of what I like to call high ticket clients who really, really need the support on an ongoing basis.
Okay.
The rest of the time, I really want to be a digital nomad, right? Let's reframe that. I intend to be a digital nomad.
Yes. Yes.
Um, because, as I said, travel is important to me. I have a son, spending time with him is important to me. He is about to finish secondary school. So I want that in between his university semesters, he can come to spend time with his mother in whatever part of the world we want to be,
Mexico. Yeah.
right? For the time I've been talking about all inclusives earlier, I know this girl got Mexico in her menu though. Anyway,
Ah,
so yeah, so I consider myself a citizen of the world, and I just want to be, I want to be able to be wherever I want to be, whenever I want to be there. And that will, the programs that I currently offer as one-on-one, I also offer as self-paced options. So people can still benefit from the programs, but through guiding themselves, if you want to have a one-off session with me, that's fine as well, and that can be arranged. But essentially, I want at least 70% of my income to be passive income so that I can spend the time doing the things that I love to do.
yeah. We're all about that balance and striving for that for
For
sure.
sure. For sure.
And I think COVID made that very, very
Made
clear.
it. Correct.
It's like, wait, I don't have to be in office.
Yes.
I could do this from home.
Like that's one benefit of COVID for sure.
I know, right? And then like during lunch, I could do something different. Like, I mean, and I know that employers didn't want to hear that, but like I could take a 15-minute nap. Like I could literally go and lay down for half an hour
Exactly.
if I get
Exactly.
tired. Like it was,
Mhm.
yeah, it showed me no, no, no. This is not the life that I want. I need to build and create a life that I need. So I am all 1,000% behind having some kind of balance, even if it tips more in favor of you and the life that you want as opposed to work. So work down here, you up here. Yes, I am more in favor of that.
For sure.
Um, but
And
it's been a great.
if you're in a position where you can, right? Like this is one reason that I'm not for the hustle culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a business that is doing well, that you put your already put your blood, sweat, and tears in, and you have a well-oiled machine, why are you micromanaging your own business? Why aren't you went into business for freedom, whether not just financial freedom, but freedom to do what you want with your time.
Yep.
So why would you not take advantage of it?
Yeah. Exactly. 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 Hire the freelancer is what she's saying.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all for paying people to do things that I don't enjoy that will give me back some of my time.
It's true. Me too, for sure.
It's important.
All right. Well, Dr. Lesley, it's been a great discussion. I probably would chop it up with you all day, but
I know, right?
let's, I guess, wrap it up with one piece of advice that you want to leave with our listeners, especially those looking to just pursue a path of like growth and empowerment as women. Like
Mhm.
one piece. I know what mine would be. Mine would be get a life coach. You need it. You need help through this journey of life. You
Yeah.
need some like life coach, a therapist, somebody who could just like help you navigate um, certain things. But that's my point of view. What would be the one thing that you want to leave with our listeners?
You actually said it earlier. You can do the hard things, right? Just take a step back, figure out exactly what it is you want to do, what is required, Look at the beliefs that you're having, especially the negative beliefs you're having around it. Ask yourself, why am I having these beliefs? Actually write down the evidence to support these beliefs. And you'll realize that there really is no truth rooted in these beliefs. You can do the hard things. It's just about reframing the negative thoughts that you have around it. But you can, and if you set out to do it and there's a hiccup or it fails, it may just mean that you need to go back and rework it. It doesn't mean that you just give up and it's an impossibility. Just keep at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, those again bars. Bars. And if you need more help and advice and guidance, Dr. Lesley is on Life by Lesley Reece. That's her handle on Instagram, or you can visit her website at www.lesleyreece.com. So there's Lesley, Leslie,
Thank you.
and Reece, Reece. Okay. We get it. We get it down.
Yes.
Thanks again, Dr.
Thank you
Lesley.
too.
Have an awesome day.